Good morning, everybody. Myself, Acharya Vishvendra, and today I'm going to speak on a very fundamental necessity for optimal performance, especially for students preparing for JEE and NEET. So, the topic which I'm going to speak is how to tune up your mind with higher frequency for optimal performance. And here especially I mean performance in competitive exams like JEE and NEET. So first of all, let's start with the thought experiment so that you can analyze the purpose behind this video. Let's start with the physics question. Suppose there is a charge capital Q and there is another charge 4Q, and suppose they are separated by a distance d. Now a third charge has to be placed such that it is in equilibrium or at rest. So we have to find the distance of this charge from capital Q and 4Q. So just try to solve this question. I repeat the question. There are 2 point charges capital Q and 4 times capital Q, and they are separated by a small distance small d. Another charge has to be placed such that it is in equilibrium, and we have to find x1 and x2. Just work on this problem. Now let us discuss the answers. So the answer is x1 is equal to d upon 3 and x2 is equal to 2d upon 3. Just match up your answer, that whether you are able to come to the answers or not. Now let's discuss the algorithms involved. Just observe what happened to you when you solved this question. So you must have felt a sudden change in your vibes when your mind-brain system started working on this problem. Before I gave you this question, your mind-brain system must be in a low frequency state, roaming around here and there. You may be having multiple thoughts and unstable thought pattern. But when I asked you this question, then you must have felt a certain sort of quantization in your thought process, in the frequency of your brain waves. And if you have synchronized with that thought process, only then you will be able to come up to the answer. And if not, then you won't be able to come to the answer. So let's visualize that hypothetically in terms of diagram. Suppose there are 4 steps to move from question to answer. Because the fundamental task here is to get the answer and mark that in your OMR sheet. Only then you will be judged. Whatever happened within you is nobody's concern. It is the answer that you mapped, that you mark in the OMR sheet, which has got significance. So let's visualize the entire process of getting the answer through a ladder and a stepwise analogy. Suppose there are 4 steps in solving a particular question. Then to move from step 1 to step 4, the first thing that you need is energy, which is at least equal to the gravitational potential energy. If we compare it with gravitational field itself. Now energy can be related to the frequency. So ultimately we can say that you can solve a particular question if your energy is greater than the potential energy difference, let's say delta U. Equivalently, we can say that energy corresponds to the frequency, because whatever we think, whatever thoughts we have, they also have a certain frequency. So if compare with the photon, we can say that energy is h into f, where f is the frequency of the thought. So that should be greater than delta U. It implies that the frequency should be greater than delta U by h. I named this frequency as f0, which I called as the threshold frequency. So from energy considerations, we can say that you can solve a particular question only if frequency of your thoughts is greater than a particular frequency, which I say as the threshold frequency. So this is the reason why most of the students are unable to solve questions which are asked in JEE and NEET, because these questions are high frequency questions. And normally students don't practice the high frequency questions. They just limit themselves with the low frequency questions, because of which their mind-brain system is unable to adapt to the high frequency questions, and ultimately they lose in the exam. So the first thing is increasing the frequency of the brainwave. Now let's discuss the solution. Suppose this charge apply force F1 and this charge apply force F2. So we can say that net force will be 0 when F1 is equal to F2. F1 can be written as KQQ dash by x1 square. F2 can be written as K4Q into Q dash by x2 square. From here we conclude that 1 by x1 square is equal to 4 by x2 square. From here we conclude that x2 is equal to 2x1. From here we conclude that x1 plus x2 is equal to d. So x2 is twice of x1, so this gives 3x1 is equal to d, which gives x1 is equal to d by 3 and x2 is equal to 2d by 3. So just compare how many steps are involved in the question, and you are able to reach up to this step if you have energy or the frequency corresponding to the energy difference. I shall talk to you in the next video. Thank you.